All right, guys, welcome back to another Bad Batch reaction here in the Canon Collector channel. This is episode number 2 today, Friday, after May the 4th. So we had our 70-minute premiere for May the 4th for the Bad Batch. Now today we're getting another episode. So this is episode 2, and I think technically the way that it works out is that the first episode was actually like 3 episodes kind of put together, just like the Clone Wars movie. And today is kind of the 4th episode. There were screeners and stuff that went out to a bunch of press and critics and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And they saw the first 4. So they saw this first whole week's Bad Batch episodes. So I'm not sure if there are spoilers out there, but I have managed to avoid them. Thankfully. But last week was really great. I really enjoyed that 70-minute episode. I thought it was a very good way to start a show. Like I talked about last time, the Clone Wars Season 7 didn't necessarily open in the right way for me, just because they went episode by episode, small chunk by small chunk, with kind of a 22-minute sort of episode right off the top, and it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to get into it, and it really wasn't enough to make me care even about the Bad Batch. It was just, it felt very uncomfortable and weird. And like we talked about last time, even Mandalorian Season 1 kind of fell into that trap a bit, and a touch with Season 2, but not as bad with Season 2. But now we're going to be getting 20-minute episodes. If I look over here, this says about 30, so we're looking at about 22 to 24, maybe 26 minutes, depending on how the credits, actually roll out. Last week, I think they were about 4 minutes long, so about a 26-minute episode is not terrible. I really think that like the big chunk up front is kind of the big deal. Let's really get into this. Let's get going. I really do hope that this show is a little more sort of overall plot centric. I like the week by week thing that, the Mandalorian has done. I like the way that the Clone Wars had been, but I would like to see a show that like we're really going on an overall journey. A little similar to how Rebels was. There was still weekly sort of things that happened, little weekly journeys, but overall there was a much bigger story being told. So I'm hoping that's kind of what we get, and that we get a lot of movement on that sort of through plot through at least the season or the series, however it works out. So last week's episode was really, really great. I really enjoyed it. I loved the story that they were telling. I even loved the Kanan retcon. Yes, I did look it up. Went back and read the Kanan comic series, and it is not the same. It's not even remotely the same, at least from a setting standpoint. But most of the beats are exactly the same. I think they really kept the spirit of what the original story in the comics was, and they've kind of just modified it to fit this Bad Batch story. I'm kind of okay with it. I'm of two minds with that, and this is a whole other discussion that like is not going to be tacked on to the beginning of this Bad Batch reaction. But yeah, I mean, as the canon collector, I want things to be very seamless between different pieces of canon. But I really love what we got at the beginning of the Bad Batch, so I'm not that mad about it. I think that that's perfectly acceptable to change little things like that. I don't hold too much of the canon too seriously, but at the same time, yeah, like it would be nice to have everything mesh really well. But it kind of feels similar to the way that the Clone Wars Season 7 change with Ahsoka sabers from being green to blue affected the Ahsoka novel, the E.K. Johnston novel. That one passage, or the couple passages that mention her green lightsaber. And I mean, that too is a little bit less even than this, where it's like it's one color detail, you change a word and it's okay. And this is a little more than that, but I'm not mad at it. It's small tweaks like that are okay, in my opinion. And I think we're getting better, more refined stories. And if we got something worse than what we got, then I think that would be a big deal. But I do think that we got something better. Maybe it's just because we saw it. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I like what they were going with that. And I kind of hope that Kanan or Caleb pops up again at some point throughout the story. But it doesn't necessarily make sense. I don't know if he would be interacting with the Bad Batch. At least the way that we see him in Rebels, it doesn't totally make sense. So but it would justify if we saw him again in some form. It would almost justify the retcon a little bit. Like, it would take any doubt out of my mind. But right now, I'm very okay with it, and I hope you guys are too, because I think what we got on screen for the first episode was just incredible. And not that it's necessarily maybe better than the comic series, but there's something about it that hooks me. So I'm just not totally upset. Last week, a lot of good things, a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff people are talking about. Omega, the clone, our young female clone in this series. People got a lot of theories. People have a lot of theories that didn't even cross my mind. Things like her hair being the same as Palpatine's hair. She could potentially be a clone of Palpatine. Like, what is her purpose, and is she force sensitive? I didn't really pick up on any of that my first go through. And I get the want and the need for her to be, force sensitive, for her to be something else and something special. And I do think that is a thing. Don't get me wrong at all. Force sensitive could make a lot of sense. I think that it works in that way, which I was talking about with Grogu and a bunch of other stuff potentially being in this show, and what that means and how that could tie into the overall, not just The Mandalorian, but all the interconnected Disney Plus shows. This could be a thing. If we have a force-sensitive clone, if that is a real thing that was created at some point on Kamino, and then we have, scientists in The Mandalorian trying to figure out how to do force-sensitive clones, okay, like that's a pretty big tie, and I really like that. So that all makes sense to me. The Palpatine stuff doesn't exactly make sense to me if it is a clone of Palpatine. You would think he would know. You'd think that he would know about that. You'd think that he'd have some insight knowledge that was going on, but maybe not. But really the biggest problem that I have with that, it could be Palpatine mixed with Jango. Because my biggest problem that I have with it is the fact that she has a New Zealand accent. Like, she has a very distinct New Zealand accent, just like the real Jango Tamira Morrison has. Again, I love Dee Bradley Baker's performance, but it's more of an Australian accent than it is a New Zealand accent. And those two they're similar, but they're very different. And it's very clear that they made an effort to make sure that she was New Zealand. So clearly she's got some sort of Django going on there, because my whole theory is accents are not sort of cultural or where you're born, where you're raised. It's maybe genetic. It just makes more sense that way, at least the way that the Star Wars world is. People from the same planet have different accents all the time, but people with the same bloodlines usually have the same accents. So that's my theory. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. Anyway, I really think that there's a lot of Jango in there. There's a lot of real clone in there, and whether or not there's some Palpatine spliced in there, I'm not sure. Maybe that is to give her some force sensitivity, or maybe it's somebody else. I don't really know. There's definitely something up with Lama Su, the Prime Minister of Kamino, and the Kaminoans and their relation to Omega. So very, very interesting. And I really just kind of want to see where that plays out. A lot of theories, and I'm not holding true to any one of them because they just don't hold a ton of weight for me, at least at this point in the story. There's just not a lot of evidence to suggest that, she would be a clone of Palpatine or even force sensitive at this point. I think that just that one scene with her picking up the blaster and shooting, that's a maybe. But I don't know if she's had blaster training. She's probably been very bored on Kamino, so what else is she going to do but hang out with some young clones and potentially shoot stuff? That's really all they probably do there. So the last we left them, before we dive into this, we had 4 of the Bad Batch members, minus Crosshair, who is now he's turned evil. He's full on Empire. So the 4 Bad Batch members and Omega are now on their way somewhere to meet, I believe, somebody Hunter knows. So we're going to see who that friend is, who it is. I kind of think it might be Rex, but I'm not exactly sure. If it was Saw Gerrera, who's, one of the other potentials for this, I think that he would have just mentioned Saw at the beginning of at the end of that last episode, because they had all met him. So I don't think it's Saw. It could be Rex, and I think it's Rex because we have seen Rex in the trailer. We know that that's coming, and most of the footage that we've seen from the trailer was directly out of that 70-minute, aftermath episode, that first episode. So I kind of think that the Rex reveal is going to happen pretty early on, and I think he might actually be a bigger part in the story than we all originally thought. So that's really good. I am not mad about that at all if that is the case. Other possibilities, people have been talking about the clone from the Clone Wars who kind of deserted and started his own family. That's a possibility. But it's all very confusing. Even with Rex, it's very confusing because at this point, I don't even think these clones can trust other clones. Just like Caleb Kanan couldn't trust the Bad Batch because he didn't know what was going on. I don't know if they can trust any other clone either. How do they know that Rex isn't, flipped? How do they know that he isn't on the Imperial side? How do they know that even a deserter clone, how do they know that he's not flipped as well? So this could be somebody completely different. And I don't think, it's definitely not going to be Anakin if we're in the timeline that we're in. Definitely not going to be Anakin. We know that the Bad Batch knows Anakin. It's definitely probably not Ahsoka, because I don't think that they know Ahsoka at this point in time, and she's very much on the run. Not saying that she is unlikely to, be in this show at some point, because it could totally happen. Makes complete sense. But I don't think so. Not this soon. I think she's going to be very cautious for quite a while. So Rex seems likely, but again, how do they know he's not bad as well? So I can't, and it could be some other Jedi, but I don't really know. I don't know how they know who's still alive, who's on their side. So this is going to be very interesting. Let's just dive right into this bad boy and start reaction. Today's a little bit lighter than last time. 30-minute episode, probably about 26 minutes. So I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into this and get more and more story details. So let's jump right on in. And here we go. Let's start it up. Episode 2, baby. Cut and run. I love this intro, man. I think it's so great, and it looks like it could be for animation, but I think it's awesome. That's perfect. The Bad Batch. All right. What happened last week? If we're going to do that. No. Oh, I thought they were going to go to the Mandalorian route. That's kind of cool. I like that. There's a skip intro button that pops up on Disney Plus. That was weird. You skipped like half a second, not even. Seleucamai? Is that what he said? Look at those weird little guys. Oh, one of those boys. I don't know what they're called, but I remember them from Ep 2. It's pretty cool shit, man. They just released that Lego set. That's a pretty cool ship. I'm gonna have to pick that up. Ah, look at that dust. It's just so gorgeous. This whole show. Oh. She's never been off Camino. She said that last time. This is like her first time being like somewhere that wasn't completely water. Storm rolling in. It ain't gonna be all sunshine and rainbows, friends. Something's going down. Ominous foreshadowing. I love plant life in Star Wars. They do a really good job at just creating something that looks like it could be real. Obviously this is in the Clone Wars style, so it's going to look a little funky, but I could see how this could translate to live action and how this could be real, but still with a touch of Star Wars. Deserters, okay. It's been a while since I've watched that arc from the Clone Wars, so I can't tell if this is the same planet or not. Yep, there we go. Cool. I like this. This is a good point. Interested to how his chip works and what went on there. Rex. I like how they're doing this, like it's again like a found family sort of Mandalorian in Grogu kind of thing here with Omega and Hunter. I like it. I like that fatherly role he's taken on. All right. More of that We're getting just, I love this. It just looks so good. You got a lot of troops around. Do they just not realize that you kind of look like, I get it. You got a little bit of face makeup on and some mutton chops, but like, don't you still look like a clone? Shouldn't you kind of be like a little more cautious? Okay. I mean, I guess he addressed it, but did he? Chain code. I don't know if it's just because that's a hologram, but that kind of looks like a little rebelsy. Didn't look 100% Clone Warsy. Oh, Omega, don't do it. He's smarter than you. He knows this is his home. Don't do it. Oh, Omega. Don't do anything dumb. Oh, that's why. You're gonna get eaten. It ain't for clone troopers. It ain't for Imperial eyes, man. It's for just wildlife. I mean, just go with the Bad Batch. Like, yeah, they're wanted, but come on, dude. What are you going to do? You going to sneak on one of these transports? You're probably more likely to get caught that way than just going with the Bad Batch. Here you go, Hunter. He's got it. Why'd you... I mean, I get it. You want to be cautious because it's approaching you, but I probably would have got out there. It was quite far away. I would have got away from that thing a little quicker than she did. Yeah, maybe, but like they're gonna see his face, man. It's Tamir Morrison. You're not gonna not know, and like it's your face. If you're a clone trooper patrolling that area, you're gonna know. You're gonna very much know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Very similar beats to that episode 4 of The Mandalorian. Okay, bold move, Cotton. See if it pays off. Oh, man, I just would have got out of there. Just take them and leave, man. I don't get this plan. With the animation, it's not even just like the actual resolution and the quality and like things look very lifelike and beautiful, like the aesthetics of just the flat still image. It's like it's the movement and everything looks so good. They just move more lifelike, or it just looks better, I think, than like a lot of animation out there. This show is just continually impressing me. Uh-oh. It's never easy. You never just get out of things, so what's gonna happen here? That was interesting. Why'd they, like, show her? Could be nothing, but I don't know. Uh-oh, monkey wrench. Something's going wrong here. Okay, that's maybe why they showed her. She's gonna slip through. Because she probably doesn't look like a clone. Or at least, like, one of those where you wouldn't be able to tell. Well, they couldn't tell. The Bad Batch didn't tell that she was a clone, so this makes sense. Yeah, definitely use her, man. A lot of that, you know, the Imperial imagery is coming through. The clones are feeling more like stormtroopers. Like, this is a cool mix, man. This is a really cool mix. Alright, we're going to get a little showdown over here. It's interesting that they don't, like, they're not immediately recognizing him as a clone. And it makes sense, because they do look different. But, like, do they look different enough? Like, I don't think Hunter looks different enough. But maybe Wrecker does? There you go. Almost the Force theme there. That was interesting. Nothing Kevin Kiner does is ever like by accident. It's the same thing with Filoni. Everything that he does, both of them, Filoni and Kiner, that's for a reason. If you think you're about to hear the Force theme, it's for a reason. So I guess that gives that rumor credence, man. Like, she could very well have the Force. Get out of there, boy. Time to leave. She is definitely not going with them. There's no way. But I kind of hope she does. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know how they feel about that. I feel like they're definitely going to be dealing with this at some episode at some point. Like, what this must be like to, have to not just fight your brothers, but literally take out your brothers like Hunter just did. Tech gave him that look, and that definitely to me says that something like, ooh, yeah, okay, like this is the way this needs to go down. Yeah, Wrecker. You big brute, you. Oh, there she is. Of course. Oh, no. Haha. Close call. Cut is going to be making a return at some point. Maybe as a frequent returning character, but I like that. I do want to see him get away. At least for his family's sake. Do you want to pull him back in a later episode to help some sort of final fight? That's a good call, but his family deserves some safety, some peace of mind. Oh, Gonk. What is he doing? Like, he was probably working out, but the animation looked weird. All right. Created by Dave Filoni, based on Star Wars and the characters by George Lucas. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I think a really solid episode, and honestly, I feel really good. Like, I was a little nervous because of everything that I've been talking about with that 70-minute episode, back now to a 30-minute episode, 20-something minute episode format. How was I going to feel? Do I want those big, juicy episodes still, or was this okay? And while I love the 70-minute hit you over the head with a lot of story, this was fine. This was totally good. Like, it was another good entry. I felt like it had kind of that episode of the week, like story of the week sort of thing going on, but it had more to it, and it really felt like it was a continuation of their journey, and maybe that's how you kind of do it. With the 70-minute episode, it really set it up so that these guys are on the run. So now maybe every sort of, theme of the week, journey of the week, adventure of the week sort of thing, it's going to feel just more like we are advancing the plot forward, that there's not something back there that we're worried about or that we're looking in our rearview mirror trying to keep an eye on while still moving forward and focusing on what we're focusing on. So this feels good. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's just because of the way that they've set the show up, but this felt really, really good. And I could do this thing again next week. If they just keep bouncing from place to place, trying to figure out who they can get in touch with and just cameo, obviously that's a little much, and it probably will get to a certain point. It'll maybe not feel that great. But like right now, okay, cool. I think that the story really progressed forward, at least making sure that you understood the bond between Omega and Hunter, in that it is sort of a father-daughter situation, and really just Omega's bond to the Bad Batch, and that is real, and that makes sense. The first thing that you would try to do is to kind of not offload her, but get her somewhere safe. And they kind of both realize maybe that's not what either of them want. She is apparently something special, and they can tell. She could be useful to them, I guess, but they're also just trying to find. I don't think they're actively trying to like fight a war right now. I think that they are also just trying to go away, and that's kind of the difference between this and Mando, where Mando was his life, was just risking it, putting it out there for another dollar, getting into a lot of skirmishes, not being the best up and up sort of dude, where here these guys are just trying to find peace, probably. Like, I don't think they're trying to really go fight. I think it's maybe similar to the way Ahsoka probably feels, where she just wants to just kind of exist in the background unnoticed. She doesn't want to be found out, but when somebody's in trouble, she is going to help them, and they still want to do good. So I think that's probably what we're going to see in the next episode, is trying to help. I mean, we did see that here too with Help and Cut. It just is presented a little differently, where maybe next week they'll just kind of stumble upon somebody else who's maybe not a clone who they want to help out. I don't really know. But that is probably the way that they're going to be. I don't see them trying to figure out a way to go up against the Empire anytime soon, at least. Maybe there's a small cell somewhere doing something on a certain planet, kind of like Lothal. I don't know. And that's, again, like, this show keeps me guessing, because I don't exactly know what the trajectory of this show is. And it is, there is a lot of elements of, say, the A-Team and things like that with this, so they're definitely going to find some cause to fight for. I mean, that is just a Star Wars thing. And then at the same time, probably trying to maybe figure out and uncover more about Omega and what's going on there. So there's, there's stuff here. There's story to be told. There's plot. It's just they could unfold in literally 9 different ways, and I really like that, because it's not taking us down a path where we can kind of see where it's going, at least to a full degree, right? Like, I like to be able to have sort of an idea like this, where it is pick your path kind of a thing. Which way can we go down? We can go down 3 different ways. It's just which way is the story actually going to go. I think this is great. This was another great episode. I feel really satisfied with this episode. We just got almost 100 minutes total this week of story, and I think that that's good. I think the real test will be waiting a week and seeing next week how I feel, how you feel about this whole thing, and see if we still feel satisfied. Now, maybe next week is a Rex reveal. I don't know. I feel like almost maybe there's a little something else we're gonna need. Not that this one didn't give us a lot, because I felt like it really did. But I think my mind may be a little clouded by the 70-minute episode from just a few days ago. So it'll be interesting to see next week, after a week of not having any new content, and see what that feels like. So maybe they throw in a little bit of something extra just to keep you invested, keep you in there. But I don't know. I think that this show is working really well as is, and I'm very, very happy so far. Like I said, next week will just be the test to see if it holds up or not, if my feelings right now hold up or not. Again, I mean, everything looked just absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to keep on saying that, and I don't want to, but it's just, it continually impresses me. Even from season 7 to now, to where we are here in the Bad Batch, it looks like improvements, probably subtle, smaller ones, but man, this show looks fantastic, and I can't talk about that enough. The music is also really great. A couple little TV show, kind of kid show sort of sounds. Some of the sort of symphonic, samples and things that they're using, the virtual instruments that they're using, don't always sound 100% organic. They sound a little like if you turn on the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon right now, it sounds like something that they have there, which is a little like wacky and kooky almost. And that's fine. And I don't take, I don't take that stuff too seriously. It's more the intention than the actual how does it sound? They don't have the budget to go record a full-on orchestra for every episode of the show, so I'm not gonna harp on that too much, but there's a little stuff that reminds you, oh hey, yeah, we are kind of in that animation world still, and not that this is necessarily for kids, because it doesn't really feel like that. It feels very family friendly. It feels very Star Wars, and that's what Star Wars has always been, is something for adults, and but still okay enough for children. And so that's my only thing. But Kevin Kiner is killing it. All those things like we were talking about in the actual reaction, just hearing little bits of, there are very similar lines being played that sound like the Force theme when we're looking at Omega. So that's not unintentional. It's too much. It's not exactly the Force thing. It's not let's beat you over the head with it. But it's very close. It was very close. So it's definitely intentional. Everything that Filoni does, everything that Kiner does, I think are very much intentionally done. So that is a thing. And that really, right there, hearing that and recognizing that, whether that happened in the last episode or not, and I didn't pick up on it, that gives this theory that she is a Force sensitive clone some weight to me, because there would be really no real reason to do that. They did that on purpose. This show is just absolutely fantastic. We didn't have a whole lot of stuff to dive into today, but given the 70 minutes that we had on May the 4th, and then today with another 20 some odd minutes from this episode, there's just a lot to chew on for this coming week. So there's going to be probably tons and tons of theories popping up on the web between now and next Friday, and my mind is definitely racing with a lot of possibilities and in what could happen and what's going to happen, who we could potentially see, who we aren't going to see, things that they're definitely not going to touch, but maybe allude to. I think that there are going to be a lot of ties to other storytelling every week. It's just very apparent, very, very, very apparent. I'm enjoying this like crazy, and I'm looking forward to hitting the next one. Absolutely. Definitely, guys, in the comments below, let me know what you thought of this episode, because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed how these 100 some odd minutes of television have worked together, but I want to hear from you guys and hear what you think about this episode number 2, as well as episode number 1. So make sure to leave us a comment below and let us know what you think. Let me hear your theories. I really want to hear your theories for, what the show is going to be, where the show is going to go, and is Omega Force sensitive or not? Is there any credence there? And do you think that she's a clone of Jango, that she's a clone of Palpatine, if she is a mixture? How did the Force sensitivity come into play, if at all? So please, let us know in the comments below your thoughts and theories for The Bad Batch. Anyway, guys, thank you once again for checking out another reaction video here on the Canon Collector channel. Make sure to go subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on all of our reviews, our reactions, our plot summaries, and all of our gaming content that we're doing on the channel. As well, make sure to give us a like on this video, because it really helps get our videos pushed out to everybody else so we can grow this bad boy. We really appreciate all of the love and support everybody's given us lately, and all of the new subscribers that we had. So we just want to keep on rolling with all of this. As well, make sure to keep an eye out for all of the short form content that we do. If you don't know, YouTube does short TikTok and reel like videos now, so make sure to go and check all of those out. We're releasing them just about every day, so make sure to keep an eye out for those as well. And make sure to go follow us on other social media like TikTok and Instagram, where you can find us at The Canon Collector. I hope you guys go and have a fantastic rest of your week, and we will see you here next Friday for episode number 3 of The Bad Batch. As always, guys, may the spires keep you, and may the Force be with you. See you guys next time.